Today's video was made possible by the realest buckaroonies of them all, my patrons. My patrons make it possible to keep this channel independent and make the best quality content I possibly can for all of you. Of course, my patrons get some extra cool bits as well, like exclusive sample packs and preset packs and other things too spicy for YouTube. If you want to help support the channel and buy me a coffee, you can sign up with the link down in the description. Okay, story time. Let's talk about Fred. Fred has some music he's been working on for a while, and it's finally time to let it loose on the world. So, he uploads it to the internet box, and he waits. After a while, a few plays start to roll in, and it's pretty exciting. So, Fred goes back to work on some more music. Next thing he knows, he's getting 10 plays instead of just 3. Then 10 becomes 100, and 100 becomes 1,000. And this is it, Fred thinks. I finally got some traction. There's that silent applause, a mental pat on the back, a gleaming sense of hope looking forward, and a newfound resilience in breaking through that noise of the internet to take just a little bit of that spotlight for himself. But then there's Jake. And let's be real, Jake's kind of a dick. Jake runs out and starts making the same lo-fi beats as pretty much everyone else, and suddenly Jake is getting placed in editorial playlists, featuring on massive channels, and getting all the love and adoration Fred so desperately now wants. And just like that, 1,000 plays is no longer a good thing. In fact, it's pretty f***ing miserable. All of a sudden, sharing the art you were once so proud of because of how it represented a part of you became sharing a product. Value that was once determined by personal enjoyment and creative fulfillment became value determined by plays, followers, and likes. All of a sudden, art became a competition. But what if I told you that there's an idea that's over 2,000 years old that you can use to fix all of this self-doubt right now and everything else you're calling into question about your work, your life, and your value as a creator? Howdy doody, buckaroonies, and welcome back to The Feeling Show. This is a topic I've really wanted to cover for a long time. I think this is one of the most important things to learn to overcome, because without learning to recognize and deal with this, you're never going to win or ultimately find that sense of fulfillment, because that definition of success only builds up into something progressively more impossible to amount to. In Mark Manson's book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F***, he talks about a young guitarist who was kicked out of his band with no warning and went on to forge a career in music out of sheer anger and spite. He was going to go out and show his old bandmates what a stupid move this was. He was going to become so famous that he would be the envy of the music world, and his old bandmates would have to sit and wallow in the mistake they made firing him while he went on to become a phenomenon. Believe it or not, and this is a true story, he went on to sell tens of millions of albums, selling out massive stadiums and becoming one of the most well-known artists in music ever, but yet he still felt like a failure. That young guitarist was none other than Dave Mustaine from the band Megadeth. Dave was kicked out of Metallica back in 1983, and both Megadeth and Metallica went on to become two of the most well-known bands in all of music. However, Metallica always seemed to edge Megadeth out by just a little bit when it came to being considered the most successful metal band of all time. Even though Dave Mustaine is one of the most successful musicians of all time, who has made it by pretty much every conceivable metric and is in a position that is extremely enviable, in his own mind, he's still a failure. And that is the true danger of jealousy in your career as a creator. While, of course, we're not all Dave Mustaine, our daily lives are dominated by social media and platforms ruled by faceless algorithms to drive engagement. Today, everything is a game of numbers. Follower counts, views, plays, likes, subscribers, and virtually every other metric of apparent success and value is placed right up front and center, not only to you as the creator, but to your audience. These things are the magical key holders that determine the worth of something and who gets to enter that kingdom because, well, that's just how it is. In the end, is it totally wrong? Not really. Ultimately, though, is this the best way to judge the value of something? Definitely not. Let's do a little mental exercise here just to stretch out the old noodle. Do me a favor and think of your perfect chair. Is it wood? Is it leather? Does it recline? Does it maybe have a bunch of sick RGB Mountain Dew gamer lights? Or maybe it has a handy storage compartment for that external hard drive you know you've been backing your music up to because you stay on top of that. Regardless of what your chair is like or what it's made of, the number of cup holders or the color of the amazing yee pair of truck nuts you've got hanging off the back, your personal chair is unique to you because it's made up of endless subjective experiences and ideals and preferences that only you can put together. This is actually the same idea that sparked a pretty big beef with ya boys Plato and Aristotle back in the day. See, Plato said that we only know about something from its ideal form. Somewhere out there exists an absolutely perfect circle, and in reality, we only see less perfect representations of that circle. They might look like a circle, but they aren't truly the ideal form of one. But then, ya guy Aristotle rolled up, probably carrying his testicles in a wheelbarrow due to their impressive fortitude, and hit the blunt and said, "Bruh, we only know the perfect form of something by knowing its imperfect form." If we draw some dots on a sheet of paper and connect them, we can make a circle. And let's say that each of these dots represents an artist you're influenced by, an artist whose work you admire, or maybe even another artist who you think you're better than but maybe similar to. So then we go connect these, and we have our circle. Is our circle perfect? Not really. But it is your circle, and your circle is different than anyone else's circle. What you're chasing in your pursuit of creation is not these individual points, but the broader interconnection between them. I think that this is really the idea we forget all too often as artists and creators, and it's a really damn important thing to keep your sights on. This circle is your true north. This is everything that you strive to be as an artist and the form of your art that you set out to create. This form isn't plays, it's not followers, it's not sponsorships or f***ing likes. This is you and your art, and only you can go out and make it. It is important to remember that you're not entitled to some kind of success or fame or recognition, but what you are entitled to is the freedom and ability to create whatever it is you have in mind and go out and make your circle. If you feel like you're not creating that, and maybe there's something else you should create instead, maybe you better go get on that. Whew, boy, that one was, that was kind of a doozy, but I would love to know if you have any other thoughts or ideas to share on this that have helped you overcome or deal with these feelings yourself, because I think, like a lot of the subjects I tackle in these sorts of videos, there's not really any kind of cut and dry answer here, but there are ideas that are helpful, and that's sort of what I'm after with these sorts of things. Creator envy and this idea of jealousy isn't something that ever really goes away, but it is something I think you can learn to deal with and ultimately try to overcome. Because the more you feed into it, the more it grows, and the more you dwell on it, the more it's going to ultimately just interfere with your ability to go out and create your art, and that's not going to do anybody any favors. So, the end. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. And as always, I hope this inspires you to get out there and make something awesome.